All right, hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. My name is Richard Capone. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Let's Go Learn. In today's webinar, Core Diagnostics and AI, we're going to be covering quite a bit. It's going to be action-packed. We will be recording it, so don't worry about taking rigorous notes. You'll get an email with the recording as well as the slides. So, looks like people will all float in. So again, as I mentioned before, my name is Richard Capone. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Let's Go Learn. And today's webinar is going to be very, very action-packed. We're going to be covering our system. So let me go ahead and jump in. I only have a few slides. I'll be doing about 7 minutes of slides, 15, 20 minutes of demo, and then we will be answering questions and answers from everyone. So first, let me start off with a quick background on Let's Go Learn. So I did start the company with Dr. McCollum in 2000. And he ran the reading credential program. So our founding principle was always diagnostic. Why? Why is the student struggling? Why are they doing well? Scores need to be informative. They shouldn't just be summative. And so that was sort of our mission from the very beginning. And that's been guiding us as we have gone throughout history. Now today, what I want to point out, since this is a sort of we are focused on special education in our diagnostic platform, I'm going to start off with a couple problems. Two of the big problems that sort of plague us as we are working with different students and trying to boost achievement is present level identification and progress monitoring, right? So these are two areas that are very difficult to do. And that's where we focus as our platform, right? So our platform really is trying to find those present level diagnostics, as well as how do we make progress monitoring automatic and easy to do, right? So that's what we focus our platform on. And to begin with, if you look at our overall platform, what is it, right? So our platform is a present level precision diagnostic assessment. You assess students in math and reading with our platform, and then that diagnostic data is going to go into our engine, and it'll generate reports for parents. It'll generate prescriptive reports. It'll allow you to do whole group, small group instruction. It'll also allow teachers to assign lessons, write IEPs, do all the different things they need to do. So when you start off with good data, it sort of goes into that core system. And then of course, we also generate an ELA or math course for each student. Right now, we do have formative assessment tied into that as well. So that's sort of our platform at the high level. And I'm going to explain more, and I'm actually going to show it to you as well. Now, how does the platform work? So the first step really is about doing that diagnostic assessment. That's a present level diagnostic. And then from there, teachers in special education will use that data to write their IEPs, to set goals, to figure out what should I be teaching. And then, of course, that data will also generate an automated course for each student. But the teachers can also assign lessons as well in our system, or just use it to drive their own SDI. Now, from there, if you are doing ongoing quizzing with our system, which is going to be like, I just want to quiz long vowel, short vowel, place value decimal, 2-digit by 1-digit multiplication, those quizzes lay on top of the baseline data. So that allows you to do one-click progress monitoring, right? You don't have to worry about it'll automatically recalculate the total scores. And so it's really meant to be a very comprehensive platform, especially for special education. Now, I do want to sort of point out that our system is not just for special education. It actually, if some districts are using it to assess all students, the great thing is diagnostic data can be summative, but summative data cannot. So if you're using other assessments, let's say using MAP or iReady or Renaissance Learning or something like that, special education still has to have their own assessments. But when we're used across the whole district, our assessments can be used for general ed, intervention, as well as special education. The difference is different groups will be using different reports, right? The general ed teacher may just be using the summary reports, the standards reports, where the special education teacher is going to be using our IEP tool to write IEPs and so on and so forth. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I like having that slide just to make sure everyone understands how it works across the district. Okay, now a couple more slides and then we're going to jump into a demo. All right, and by the way, I will be showing also the AI features, because the AI features really are tools that lay on top and they're optional to use. All right, so first of all, we use a diagnostic model assessment. And what does that mean? In the case of reading, we break reading into 6/7 subtests. When we assess a student, we go up and down each of the subtests to find their present level, and above that is their instructional point, right? And each of these is tied to instructional skills. So that is different. A lot of assessments, most assessments out there are just testing grade level skills, and maybe they'll go down a little bit, but they're not really trying to go down to find the present level. right? So that's the difference between a diagnostic model and a summative model of assessment or a standards model. In math, it's crazier because math is not the strands. It's actually 44 subtests within foundational math. So we go across all of those and find out where the student's present level is. If you look at place value, for instance, now remember, each one of these is a scope and sequence of skills. So if we look at place value, what is place value? It really is 2-digit, 1-digit place value, 3 digits, 100,000s, given number, expanded form, decimal place value. So we literally are finding out where the student is within that scope and sequence. And that is really the difference that separates us. Now, if you have this powerful data, right, this is really sets the stage for a lot of amazing things. So I'm going to jump into the demo. So I'm really done with my slides there. Okay. All right, so I am logged into the system, and this is real student data, but we've changed the names. And now what I'm looking at here is a class, and this is a class that's taking the math assessment. And we see a GLS score, which is easier to understand. So a 6th grader right here, Jason, he's got a low 3rd grade score overall in math. His numbers and operations are 3.5, 2.89 measurement, data analysis. But this is really, really very general, not enough to help you drive deep understanding of the student. So I'll click into numbers and operations. And now we see numbers and operations are broken up into numbers, place value, ordering and comparing, addition of whole numbers, subtraction of whole numbers, right? And this is what's really amazing. If I was working in an inclusion class and I wanted to work on place value, I can select place value. And this report alone sort of really illustrates the power and granularity of our assessment. Here's that class placed into place value, right? These students have mastered place value. These students, Todd, Zach, are working at 2-digit place value. Xavier is working on decimal place value. So these are definitive instructional points, right? Right below it is the present level. Right above it is going to be where you should be working. So this is what drives everything. And I like pointing this out. So if I did wanted to go ahead and say, hey, look, let's take a look at Jason. I want to look at a summary report. And we see here's the summary report. It shows you all the present levels where he's working. So Jason can identify the correct use of commas in 4-digit and larger numbers. In place value, Jason can identify the expanded form of a given number. This is great data. This is the data that'll feed into your PLAF, right? But also this is something that you can give to a parent to understand, well, where's my student at? The red arrows are the areas where the student is below grade level, right? So you need to focus on those areas. This is just the summary report. The detailed report is really amazing as well. If we look at the detailed report for Jason. Here, and this is long, this is like a 12-page report. It shows the scope and sequence of every single subtest and where the student is at. So within numbers, the student is at rounding. That's where he needs to work next. Jason will correctly round. Within place value, again, we talked about where he's at. And you can see this. Now, this granularity of data is what drives the other reports I'm going to show you in a second, right, for the teacher. But before I do that, let me just show reading as well. So same thing with reading. We've got very detailed data. So I'm looking at a reading class here. We have high frequency words, word rec, phonics, phonemic awareness, spelling, vocabulary, comprehension, right? So if we're looking at students here, so all different abilities, right? So we see some students who are not even decoding, some students who are decoding through sight words only, like this student mastered sight words but 0 phonics, right? And then you'll flip and see kids the other way. Sometimes some students are very low in sight words, but they're very high in phonics. So this will guide your instruction. If I take a look at the student here, Bettina, I could look at the teacher-parent report. And this is a great report, how Bettina reads words, right? It goes into where you should focus, talks about the strength in sight words. All this is very, very powerful, right? It even has a profile right here. So again, lots of different reports, and I'm not going to go into detail on all of them, but I really just want you to understand this is the fundamental strength of our platform is it starts off with good data, right? Good data allows you to do so much. It allows a teacher to really go above and beyond and figure out, what do I need to do? Now, I'm going to show you one of the powerful reports we have. Let's go back to Jason, right? So if I go ahead and select Jason, he's a 6th grader. I'm going to select the special education report. And now what I do is I say, okay, I want to focus on numeracy for Jason. He's in 6th grade because obviously he's at 3.5. Numeracy is probably the most important strand. So I have numeracy selected. Initially, I want to know his present levels. So here it is. We see the present level areas. Jason can identify correct use of comma and 4-digit and larger numbers. In place value, he can identify expanded form. This is the present level lines of text that are pulled out of that 12-page report. So it's all in one place for the teacher to grab it. They can copy this. This report alone is allowing teachers to save half their time in writing IEPs and setting short-term goals, right? Now, when we add AI, it gets even better. So let's take a look at the skills we need to work on next, which are the skills above the present level in the scope and sequence. So I select show me the next 4 skills. Now, this is where we train teachers to look at this and say, okay, well, where do I want to focus? We see grade level scores here. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Probably where I'm going to focus on is the lowest. We see division is low. We see 3 skills here, multiplication of whole numbers. And then I probably will work in also these. So this is where the teacher can go ahead and select what they need to focus on, right? And then also in fractions, we see that it's pretty low. It's at 2nd grade level. So this is where I can select this. I can copy these skills. I can put this into my short-term objectives, right? And so on and so forth. And then I could also eventually write those SMART goals on that. All right. That is sort of the basics, right? Now that, again, this is a really, really powerful report. The way we would train teachers is that across the SPED department, the first step is how do I give the assessment? Then once everyone has tested their kids, the next few weeks later, we do a training. How do I mine the data to write those PLAFs, to write short-term objectives? And then we piecemeal it so that way people can operationalize it very easily. Now, from this data, it also generates an automated course for every student. So as a teacher, I can go ahead and assign individual instructional points if I want. But I also could say, hey, let's take a look at one of these students here and let's take a look and see what are they supposed to be working on next. And so now that student, right, I think I looked at before, we can see here are the lessons that it assigned. It assigned about 6 3rd grade lessons, a whole bunch of 4th grade lessons, some 5th grade lessons, but it automatically is trying to fill in those gaps, right? That's what's amazing about it. So it automatically does that. Now, if I gave a quiz on something and the student passed that quiz, basically my scores over here are automatically updated. So every time I give a quiz, that quiz may push the student up in one of these subtests, and then the total score recalculated automatically. That's what's really powerful about our system. Teacher doesn't have to think about progress monitoring. It's automatic, okay? All right, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you. And let me show you the AI features because we're real excited about this. So let's say I'm a new teacher and, you know, yes, I can go in that report. I could do that. But let's say I want a little assistant from the AI assistant. So I could select the AI assistant. And I'm going to select Irma. That's her name. And I click on Learning Plan Assistant. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select that student we were just looking at. Let's select, I think it was Jason. So I could store prompts, personal prompts, or as a staff member or team member, you can have global prompts as well. So I can say, go ahead and I can just write it here. I don't have to use a prompt. Write a paragraph-based PLAF for math and reading. Now I have one right here too. It's a little bit more detailed, but I'm just going to do that one for now. So we do use ChatGPT. It's de-identified data sent into the system. So it just has a first name. It doesn't know the teacher, doesn't know the school district. It's sort of anonymous. So everyone across the world who uses Let's Go Learn, we just push in, and the ChatGPT doesn't know who you are. All right, so right there, it's writing it. It's writing the present level academic achievement for the student. It actually combined it. So I'm going to say, break this out into 2 paragraphs. One for math and one for reading. Also, I'm going to add some data. It didn't necessarily talk about writing. Jason likes creative writing, but his grammar is below grade level. Add this in too. Okay. I mean, this is the great thing about ChatGPT AI is that it's really good at language, right? You could just feed it data and it's really good at writing. Oh, there it is. It's done. In reading, Jason's performance also varied widely as per the DORA assessment. He excels in high-frequency words, 3.83, and demonstrates strong word recognition. However, he faced significant difficulties in phonics, 1.83, and comprehension. So then it sort of breaks it out, right? So it explains, and then it says here, while Jason enjoys creative writing, his grammar skills remain below grade level, indicating a need for development in this area to ultimately enhance his writing proficiency. I mean, again, now this can also be guided through pre-training. So if we have information with you, and for those districts who want to use a custom version, we can actually create a custom version of ARMA for you where we put in examples of how PLAFs are supposed to look, right? So it's amazing what we could do, and the stuff is very easy to update. It doesn't involve programming, it just involves writing and guiding the system, all right? So now let's say we want to do something a little further. Remember before, I think we looked at Jason and we said, let's grab one of the global prompts. Next 10 skills to target in numbers and operations. So what are the next 10 skills I should teach in numbers and operations? An operations strand of mathematics, okay? I'm gonna hit send. And now in theory, it's going to go ahead and look at that IEP report that we worked on and grab the lowest skills and guide those and give those to me, right? Okay, so it almost did it. So it's basically, yeah, it's telling me where he's at, and it's telling me the skills to work on, right? And so at this point, I have this. Now as a teacher, I may say, well, I don't want to work on decimal operations. I want to focus on place value, division, and fractions, right? So you can make that decision. So what you can do is you can go ahead and take this. Let's say I want to save this. I hit the edit button, and now it copies this text over here, right? And I can go ahead and I need to just fix this formatting a little bit. So what I could do here is say, let's say I can make a decision on what I want to work on. So I'm going to delete that. I don't want to work on decimal operations. That's too high. It's 5th grade. I don't need to. What I really want to focus on is going to be, let's just take out place value too. So I want to work on subtraction, multiplication, division, and fractions. Those are the areas that are really important to me, right? So there it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4 areas. I'm going to go ahead and save this. So we have a whole document system here as well. Jason goals. And I'm going to go ahead and say short-term objectives. And the status is, we'll call this teacher draft. I could say AI first draft, teacher draft, review pending. Now remember, all of these documents I'm saving right now, this is basically, it's like its own document structure for the teacher, right? So this stuff is saved in their account. They could have any number of documents. They can share it with other people if they want. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the AI assistant. And actually, let me click on that old prompt right there, right? So this is the prompt we just did right there, right? I could pick up where I left off. If I click on this button here, debug, you can see what data was sent into the system. This is what we pushed in. Jason's first name, so it's de-identified. It has his grade, his age, and here's all the data we sent in from Dora and Adam, right? Nothing identifying him, nothing identifying the teacher. So now I could say, please write SMART goals for this student. Use the format. Now I can put this in a prompt, right? Jason will demonstrate 80% mastery when tested in X by the end of the semester. So normally you would be putting in your own format for SMART goals, right? And then use these goals. Last skill in each subtest is the SMART goal. Earlier skills are short-term objectives. Again, I'm typing this all out, but the idea is you normally, so I realized I did not copy that properly, but oh, okay. All right, I'll just put that in there. So normally you wouldn't be as rushed as I am, right? You'd have that sort of spelled out properly. So here it is. So now it's starting to write these SMART goals right there for each one of it. So Jason will demonstrate 8% mastery when tested on multiplication, right? Blah, blah, blah. And fractions, Jason will demonstrate 8% mastery when tested in equivalent fractions by the end of the semester. So again, I sort of rushed through it real quickly, but you could see if you're a little bit more methodical, it's going to help you write the SMART goals, set up short-term objectives, however you want. Okay, let me show you one more thing, and then we're going to take questions. The other thing is when you go back into the documents, how do I do prompts? So I want to show you, if I just sort it by prompts, here's my prompt documents right here, write PLAF detail. And before I was showing you how, right here, please provide a PLAF for both math and reading, and I had a little bit more information. I could also share this with other teachers, or I can make it global, right? And that's when it shows up. So again, it's a really great way, and you can write prompts on other things. If you want to have a SMART goal for science, you want to have a SMART goal for math or reading, you can have examples. Say, hey, please write a SMART goal. Here's the example format that we use, and you can stick it in the prompt. If we're pre-training a GPT for you, we would also put it in that as well. Okay, so I threw a lot out there for you. We have a very comprehensive system, and we want to work long-term with you, or if existing customers, we want to support you. So start a conversation, and we'll get you started. Let me go ahead and just bring up the last slide, just to sort of summarize how the AI assistant works. Once you do that full assessment, you would go to the AI assistant ARMA, and you would start using the prompts, right? Start saying, hey, what do I need? Do this, do that. You could save your work. Our system is meant to be the Google Drive for you. So your intermediate documents that you're working on, you can save those in our system. You don't have to worry about file structure. Everything is stored with the teacher. You can share it. Then, of course, you're going to finalize, review, and edit your conversations. You can go back into prompts. You can go ahead and update your prompts. Sorry, you go back to old conversations if you want. And then sort of the cycle repeats, right? So this is a great way to get started with AI in a very safe way. And that's it. So I think we're going to now go ahead and take questions. Okay, here's the first question. Are AI GPT safe? Do they vary between different versions? And how are you dealing with privacy? Okay, that's a great question. So here's what I would say to that. Your teachers are probably already using ChatGPT or something. So the nice thing, if they're in our system, we de-identify data when we send it in, right? And most of our customers, we have a data privacy agreement with you. So, we already have data on your students when they come into our system. And so, you're not breaking any rules there. When we push into ChatGPT, we act as the firewall between your teacher and the system. We use ChatGPT, OpenAI, in some levels. Eventually, we could use different models. But the stuff we're doing is not heavy lifting because we are providing the data, right? So really what we're using AI for is that language model. If I wanted to take something and say, hey, translate this into recommendations, a letter to my parents, translate it into Spanish, translate it into French, it'll do it, right? So that's what's powerful about it, is that it's a great assistant for your teacher. Then I could store that letter. Hey, I just translated to Spanish. Go ahead, save this. Email to Jason's parents on 5/17/95. Whatever it is. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, more questions. We use Goalbook. How does this support SMART goal writing? Okay, so Goalbook is a lot more elaborate. That's a library system for SMART goals. Now, if you have a big process around that, I'm sure you're going to continue to use it. But we have customers who are starting to use us to write SMART goals, because really SMART goals, if you know the present level, you know the skills you're supposed to work on, right, where you're supposed to go, it's an ideal tool to write SMART goals. We just need examples of what your SMART goals are supposed to look like, and then we can go ahead and do that with AI. So our AI, with the right prompts, you can basically write SMART goals. Okay, next thing is how does your system compare to iReady? Our school uses iReady. Okay, so iReady is going to be more that assessment that maybe you're using to test all your kids, right? Special ed really can't use the iReady data because it doesn't find present levels. In some cases it might, but our system is going to be that diagnostic for your special ed department. So that's where it works. We have some schools who use iReady, and then they use us in special education to do the more deeper dive into finding out that data. Now, the other side, long-term, schools can use us for all students too, right? So our assessments, again, diagnostic can be summative, but summative cannot be diagnostic, right? That's the rule of thumb. Okay, let's see. We have some more questions. Can we beta test? Can we start using the AI system now? We're customers of Let's Go Learn. All right, great question. Absolutely. We got that start a conversation slide right there. Oh, actually, let me see if I could. Here, I'll put that URL in the chat for you guys. Okay, so if you click on that, you can go ahead and fill out a form, start a conversation. We could sign you up, and I think this week we're turning on general beta, or not beta, but trials for anyone who wants to try out the AI assistant in your current account. The AI assistant is extra. We are selling it licenses based on per teacher. So you may, let's say you have 100 special education teachers. Maybe you want it for your brand new cohort of new teachers, right? Maybe you want it for some of them and not everyone. So it's really up to you, however you want to roll it out. But the cost is less than a ChatGPT Plus account, right? It's really, really reasonable. We're trying to make it reasonable because we want to make sure that it's accessible for everyone. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. Let's see if there's any more questions. Let me check the chat and the Q&A. So this is sort of the same question. How easy or hard is it to implement your AI solution within a special education department with our teachers? So first of all, the core thing is that you're rolling in our assessment, a present level diagnostic. And I would argue that it's not hard because most people are used to doing assigning assessment to kids. And then once they assess the students, then it's about having a training to teach teachers how to mine the data. And then the AI assistant is really about setting up a few trainings. Say, hey, how do I get started in some easy ways? So helping them write the PLAF, maybe mining the data, looking for some goals, and so on and so forth. So it's not hard. It's just a matter of maybe scheduling a few trainings that are layered in and make sure you're timing it with the timing of the school year when they need to do different tasks within their job. Okay, I think that's it. There's no more questions. So we are going to end exactly at 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Scan the QR code, send us an email, send me an email personally. We want to support you guys long term and make sure that given the climate and of everything that's happening, there's so much uncertainty. At least technology can help us do more with less. It can help empower your teachers. And so we want to be part of that support of your teachers and your programs. Thank you so much. We look forward to next time. Tomorrow we have another webinar, and then the day after. So we're going to be covering the behavior system we have, and we're also going to be covering LCE, which is a transition curriculum. All right, thank you.